Welcome back. And now for part 2. But first, a word from our sponsors.
I've sold an ad to my friend Charlie for her company, Unimaginative. Isn't that what your dev's job? I had to step in and take over. Poor boy's not got my style or panache. Standards must be met. This may even shock you. Sometimes before our recording sessions, I even re-watch the episode we'll be discussing. Somehow that doesn't come as a surprise. Why don't you tell folks about Charlie and the Unimaginative brand? You do it. All right, no need to get testy. Charlie is a self-taught digital artist based in Southern California. A true rebel, her work is filled with passion. She has all kinds of items like t-shirts, posters, and jewelry. Her Buffy collection is amazing. She just made an incredible Drusilla piece called Do You Love My Insides? The Parts You Can't See? Her crowning achievement. It has a companion piece, Spike's Eyeballs to Entrails. Charlie's work has been exhibited in many galleries and reviewed in many major magazines. You can find the Drew and Spike pieces as well as all of her other work on www.unimaginative.org. Please tag us in pictures of yourself in her wonderful swag for us to share online. What's that? The R.I.P. Herbert t-shirt she sent me. Oh my god! Herbert from the pack! I love it! Now, let's go order her crowning achievement. So tell me a little bit about Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That was incredibly fun and incredibly unexpected for me because I had auditioned for the part that Marcia Strassman did. I didn't quite know what to make of it, and I didn't feel like any connection to the part or anything. And then they just called weeks later and said, "Oh, we want you to play Mae Thompson." And I had imagined her so differently. I was like, "That's not Mae Thompson." I had this.
What was your picture? What was it like?
I just thought I imagined her as a little plump, a character actress. I just saw them as so different. And I couldn't see myself in that part. So I was like kind of panicked. So I got to the set. I came a day or two early to try on costumes. And the set designer went, "Oh, I want to show you the set. It's so great." And so I saw my costumes. And there was this crew neck sweater with all these flowers on it, big 80s sweater.
Right.
And then the designer took me to the set, took me to my house, which was built on this set in Mexico. I looked at the wallpaper and I thought about the sweater and I went, "Oh, I know who she is."
Oh, good.
Sometimes I think we don't give enough credit to the artists who work around us because they created this world of costumes and this set, and suddenly I knew who I was. It was so interesting that they knew who I was before I did.
And it informed you. You went, "Oh, I get it.
Yes.
I see her
Yes.
now." And then when you were shooting, what was it like once you figured out who the character was?
It was just really fun. It was very low key. Marcia was great. Matt Frewer was great. The kids were hilarious. They were showbiz kids. So one of the kids playing my son, the first time I meet him, he asked me who my entertainment lawyer was.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like 9 years old. It was so precocious. But it was great. It had a feeling of being a very underdog film. It felt like, who knows where this is going to go, but it's fun. And we did all the stuff with the adults first. And then we left and they did all of that stuff taking place under the grass. There wasn't the ability to do that at the time technically, and so they built every blade of grass.
Oh,
Huge soundstage down in Mexico City, and in it were tall blades of grass, and so they created that whole world so that those guys could go in and shoot it. It was really fun and just a lot of good laughs on the set. Mexico City, so it was so bizarre because we were supposed to be just somewhere USA, and there we are in Mexico.
outside the soundstage, very different than what you're creating internally.
Right.
It's so funny with the pro kids. I remember the very first job I booked was a Pearl Vision commercial, and they had us all do improvisation. We were doing all this stuff. And then at the end of the callback, we were all in a line, and they basically wanted to ask what our conflicts were. And so all the adults said whatever. I hadn't worked yet. It was my first job. So I said, no conflicts. And then they got to this kid at the end, and he literally was like, listen, I've done this eyeglasses, this. Like, he was like a 40-year-old man. And we all looked at him and we're like, oh my God. And then it was really funny because I worked with another kid on a film, and he was playing with his sister. And he was like, don't hit this. Don't hit the money maker. It's just so wild when kids have been put through that at such a young age and are asking you things like entertainment lawyer.
Yes. I was like, well, I don't really have one yet.
He probably had a referral for you.
I'm sure he did.
So let's talk about getting cast in Buffy. How did you get the role of Joyce Summers?
It just kind of happened without any effort, which is wonderful because sometimes we put so much effort into things. But I was really thinking of leaving the business and going back to school because I love to live my life in chapters. I was like, I don't know that this is still working for me. I'm getting older. You need quite a number of years to go back to school and get a kind of education and start some sort of second career. I was thinking about retiring, but I hadn't written or called my agent. So they called and went, oh, we have an audition for you. And I was like, great. And I was like, oh gosh, well, I don't have the guts to tell them now. So I'll just go on this last audition.
Oh my gosh, thank goodness.
Like there was really nothing on the page. It was like, yeah, okay. Or I'm going to the store. There was nothing you could make a decision about or who this person was. There was no meat there, nothing to hang on to. So I was like, well, I'll just be myself and pretend I'm this person. And I left the audition and I thought, I think he's interested in me, which seemed bizarre because I hadn't been able to present much other than myself. And then I left and I went and I got my hair cut really short. That was going to be part of the process of letting go of the career.
Oh, wow.
I got my hair all cut off. It looked absolutely horrible. It was horrible. The worst haircut I've ever gotten. And then I got cast in the show.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So I showed up and that whole first season, once or twice, I heard Joss talking to the hair person and going, well, I want her hair to look like it did at the audition. And so I never said a word like, I cut it all.
I cut it.
And
so you kept completely quiet about that?
Yes. But it was wonderful. The first season was a half a season. Again, it was just like the first day that I was on the set. It just all felt so comfortable and God, I had such a good feeling about the show. It really felt like it was something special and different and that it might go. I was really nervous the first day because I think it was in front of the high school. And I think I was dropping Buffy off and I was very nervous. And Sarah was talking a mile a minute, which just was sort of distracting because when you're nervous, you're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And I was supposed to pull forward in the line of the parents and I accidentally put the car in reverse and backed up. I was like mortified.
Did you hit anything?
No, there was nothing behind us.
Good.
I caught it right away, but I just remember that day so clearly.
When did the nerves evaporate on that day? Or did they?
I mean, after I put it in reverse, like what else could happen? So, like that very much relaxed me.
And how was Joyce described to you before you were playing the role?
The thing on paper was that she was a working mom and that she ran an art gallery and was divorced, was a single mom. And that was pretty much all there was. So I just went, well, I am this person. I learned about her as I went on, which I think is very true of a long-running series. You spend so much time as that person that you know who that person is. And a director coming in doesn't really know the characters on the show. So there's that I think is often at play. But I discovered more and more about her as I played her. At a certain point, I would have to do things that I felt weren't part of who she was, but I knew that they were plot devices
Right.
I had to fulfill. Like everything in me just wanted to die when I told her to get out of the house and not come back. That was mortifying to do that, but there are those plot things that you have to move along. So I kind of reconciled that because it's hard for an actor to be asked to do something that they feel is so wrong. But I sort of reconciled it for myself by realizing that this was really the Joyce through Buffy's eyes. And so there would be times when that was her sense of
Perspective of it.
exactly. And that was really helpful. And then when Michelle came on the show, that was you just like get your script and you're like, oh, I have another character. Oh, okay. Those are the given circumstances for today. I can do that. I'm pretty flexible as an actor. And I've come to realize in talking to other people on the show how much they fought for or directed where they wanted their character to go. And I just kind of didn't think about it that much. It just felt like Joyce was such a big part of me. The only thing I wish I had fought for was, this is going to sound really shallow, but I would have dressed her very differently. And we were very much at odds about that because to me, she was a single mom. How she presented herself to the world professionally would be important because it's her art gallery.
Art gallery. Yeah. So did you think of her as more artsy in her dressing? Was that something that you envisioned?
Yes. And the woman who did the costumes the first season,
Susanna.
yeah, she was really into that. And being Finnish, she brought kind of a whole different mindset because I think people in Europe at that time anyway, being a mother didn't set you over here in this mother category. It didn't rule out the possibility that you were also a professional and that you dressed well and it didn't really matter how old you were. I really saw that distinction between the way we culturally look at women and divide them up into the Madonna and the temptress or whatever. And,
Yes.
there isn't a lot of gray in there. And I loved the way she dressed me. It really made sense to me. And the producing staff really wanted me to be like any mother. And I would go, I don't want to wear double pleated pants. I mean, I had friends who were lawyers who weren't even wearing double pleated pants. Sometimes I brought in my own clothes and I felt much more comfortable in those. That was the only thing that I wish I had fought for. I didn't have any great vision of who I was. I just felt like myself was the right person. That makes sense?
Yes, absolutely. What do you think the key and essence to Joyce was for you?
She was the mother that I wanted. She was solid and she was grounded and she was warm and she was there if things didn't go well. One of my favorite scenes for my character was Innocence Part 2, where Angel kind of ghosts her and she's so devastated and it's her birthday. She comes home and the old movie is on the television and she's clearly really deeply, deeply upset and hurt and wounded. I just take her in my arms and hold her and don't ask her what happened. I'm just there for her. And whenever I see that scene, it just makes me cry because,
It is the epitome of unconditional love.
yeah. And not needing to know is really key too. That was like my mother letting me go away. It didn't get talked about. It didn't need to. She didn't need to tell me what had happened. I knew and I could just hold her. That felt very much to me the essence of Joyce.
You struck the perfect balance. You've talked about Joyce being a single mom. She's juggling a lot. She's the authority figure. She embodied strength. And at the same time, such a loving, tender, vulnerable force. Was that something conscious that you wanted to bring all of those colors? How did you strike that mercurial balance so well?
Well, first of all, thank you. I think that the fact that my mom was the single mom helped me a great deal. My mom had to run everything, and she was really brave to do that. I could see her vulnerability. I remember the night that the front door blew open, and my mother creeps out of her room, and I creep out of mine, and we don't know how the front door opened, and I was so scared. And I saw that my mom was just as scared as I was. There was nobody there to beat back the villains or get out a baseball bat and be prepared to fight any vampires out there. She was just as helpless and as frightened as I was. And I always saw her vulnerability. I think that that was just something that I had internalized from my mom. A lot of my mom's struggle was there for me.
How much did your being a mom, even though your daughter was a lot younger than Buffy's character, inform and infuse you throughout the whole run?
I think a great deal. It was the practice run into the future.
What is one of the qualities that you love about Joyce?
Every now and then she's a little bit zany, you know, like with Spike. And so I really loved that part of her when she couldn't maintain that solid, grounded person and, lifted off a little bit. And that was also true with Giles. He really flustered Joyce a great deal.
Do you think that's because she was attracted to him or because he spent so much time with her daughter? Or
I think all those things. Part of her was attracted to him, but she didn't want to kind of let that in because that would get really complicated because this was the father figure in her life now, and it existed outside of Joyce's realm.
yes,
So there was a little bit, jealousy wouldn't be the right word. It would be, like whatever Giles and Buffy were doing, I wasn't a part of it.
right.
And so it was just kind of unknown, and I never felt as Joyce that other than band candy that we could have much of a conversation besides a sort of hi, you know.
Yeah.
And yet we were very tied together because
Of your common love of Buffy.
yes. So Tony and I didn't actually work that much together, but there was this huge connection between our characters.
Is there a quality of Joyce's that you wish you had more of in your real life?
I'm not always as calm and grounded as she is. I am much of the time, but I can lift off. If a state of anxiety comes over me and I feel overwhelmed by having too much to do or frustrated because something is taking forever or whatever, I can get that little kind of hyper thing going.
Right.
But over the years, I've been able to be much calmer and much more centered, and it's great.
You and Sarah seemed to have such a great rapport. Was it like that from day one?
Yeah, it really was. It just always felt like I was her mother. And I remember meeting her real mother and feeling that I'm her mother too.
Right, right. Who are you?
Yes, yes, where'd you come from?
What are you doing?
Yes. No, but it always felt very comfortable, very comfortable.
Can you share a specific story that you think our listeners would enjoy?
The first season, I think I was only with Buffy. So we were at home or in the living room or in her bedroom a lot. And so I didn't really get to know the rest of the cast because I didn't work with them. I'd see them maybe going in and out of their trailers, but we really weren't on set at the same time. I think it was somewhere in the second season, the show with all the masks that I've brought home from the art gallery.
Oh, yes.
That was so fun. I was just so happy to be in the middle of everything because I watched the show as a fan as well as being in it. So I just remember how thrilled I was to be in on the action in that one and getting to know the cast better. That was really special. And then there started to be more interaction with like everybody coming over to the house. It was interesting how that developed because I think at the beginning, there was so much that had gone on in the high school previously, so much suspicion, and having moved into this new town, Sunnydale. And so there was a lot of tension between Joyce and Buffy over the past, that erosion of trust, and all of that slowly broke down in the first two seasons. And then I became more a part of the world. And I remember you and Spike being on the set. That was so fun because I'm sure we didn't have any scenes together, maybe with Spike, but your whole storyline was such a different storyline. But it was always like so fun when you guys were on the set getting ready for some scene from several hundred years ago.
It was so much fun to get to overlap with you. We didn't get the joy of being in scenes together, but I remember so many times in the makeup trailer and us both talking to one another and marveling at the huge difference between the characters that we were playing and the type of characters, and we had such a mutual admiration for, oh, I love what you're doing. Oh, I love what you're doing, and it's so different from what I'm doing on this show. And that was always such a joy to get to be with you there, even though we never got to actually act together.
It was for me too. And it's interesting, isn't it, how my part of the show was being her mom and you were part of the supernatural forces, which I always found so fun because at the time, what was one of the big shows of the time? ER.
ER, yeah, ER.
And a lot of lawyer shows. It was like, well, you guys get to go be lawyers or doctors, but I get to go to the set of Buffy where people are getting incredible makeup that is so long to apply and it's supernatural, and there was giants out of storybooks. And I was always like, I am so lucky to be in this world that is much more like King Arthur.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
The drama that you were talking about and all of that texture and world. And yes, absolutely.
So I felt very, very lucky to be on that show. I think we all felt that. It was really special.
Hey Drew, this bar is so cool, and I love your tiki-inspired outfit. I do like to blend in when I'm on a secret mission. Here, take these and put them in your bag. What? No! Wait, are these gems? These pieces are amazing. Ooh, I love this creature from the Black Lagoon handcrafted ceramic mug. Oh, and this King Kong watering spike is super cool. Oh my gosh, I also love this American Werewolf in London mug. The work is so detailed. As you know, these come from More Monsters. Jim Moore sent an email taunting me with these lovely, handmade, one-of-a-kind items. I must have them. Drew, that was my email. I've asked you 1,000,000 times not to read my emails. We don't need to steal these. Jim is advertising his Etsy page, More Monsters, on our podcast. Re-Vamptees get a special 20% discount. The code is MONSTERMUG, all caps, all one word.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could I see your bag?
Well, you see my friend here, Scooby-Drew. Scooby-Drew? Drusilla, where are you?
Follow me, ma'am.
But wait, it's my friend. She's obsessed with Jim Moore's work. She didn't realize it's for sale, but saw that you had it in your bar, and I explained everything to her.
Your friend?
Well, she thinks I'm her minion, but she seems to have disappeared.
Right.
Really? This has nothing to do with me.
Tell it to the judge.
Go to More Monsters Etsy page, MOORE, and use the Re-Vamped special 20% discount code, MONSTERMUG.
You mentioned Innocence and that scene being one of your favorites. Also, Band Candy, isn't that one of your favorites as well?
Yeah, that was really fun. I hadn't even anticipated how much fun it would be. You know, it's like, oh, well, that'll be fun. But I felt like a teenager. All the anxiety of being a teenager was there. Being unsure of the guy, the scene in his apartment where we look over all of the records. And all that's going through my head is what would have gone through my head when I was 15 or 16. Does he really like me? Showing enough appreciation for the music? Should I know this band? You know, all those anxieties about boys. And do you think he really likes me? It was amazing. And then I felt so rebellious with Buffy when she was admonishing my behavior. It was just amazing. I felt like I was a teenager, and I never thought that I would feel that way again. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about acting.
Yes.
You get to visit these places in yourself that no other kind of job would take you there.
I love that about it too. And it sounds like when you got to go there with this, it just was like playing too, and that you and Tony worked off each other so beautifully and had such joy. That's one of the things when you watch that episode and watch you guys and watch the work that you're doing is your character may be rife with those anxieties of teenagedom, but there's also a joy in that time of life and an exuberance and an exploring of sexual energy and all of those things. And you brought that, and it's so delicious to watch you flowering as this young teenager within the, it's like Freaky Friday, like body swap, but without the body swap that you're getting to play in that arena.
And he was so great to work with. He brought such an adolescent guy to it, too. It was really, really fun. It was playing. It was absolutely playing. And again, so much of the character just snapped into place with the costume. Costume kind of told me everything I needed to know about where we were going to go with this.
That's one of the things I love always when working on a part is that moment of going to wardrobe. And once you put that on and how it does make everything click and the character come to life, I love that moment.
Yeah, me too. Shoes are a big thing for me. Even though you don't see them, I've built characters on a pair of shoes.
Yeah, I have been known to ask if I can take the shoes with me so I can work with them and get familiar with them and all of that, because it is your base and it really is a big part of the character.
Yeah, and it defines how you walk. And if the shoes are the right shoes, then you could just tune into them and they tell you a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
My favorite shoes were, I was in a film that I ended up on the cutting room floor. It was a Woody Allen film, and it took place in the 30s. And I had all these costumes that were from the 30s. And I had this pair of shoes that were from the 30s. And they were so amazing.
It's funny, when I was working on Ed Wood, the minute I would put on the 50s bullet bra, I'm there, I'm in the character. And with Buffy, often with the corset, it affects the same way shoes do in the way that you walk, the way that you carry yourself. And it's such a different outline that people had in the 50s or in the Victorian age to now. You couldn't slouch. You had to recline, all of those things. And it just gives you so much to work with. And that brings me back a little bit to what you were saying. You mentioned it as a vanity thing, but really, it wasn't a vanity thing that you were thinking about the way you would have wanted Joyce to dress, because that does inform not only you, but the audience's view of the character. Wardrobe is such a key element of that. It communicates so much. And the way we work with wardrobe, the way you undo your collar because you're tired and it's later in the night, or all of those things are pieces of the puzzle that we have to visually communicate as well as through the behavior communicate who our character is. So I don't think it's actually a vanity thing as much as that it was an element of the character that you felt like
wasn't realized. Yeah.
Wasn't realized where it could have been, and felt like it's a given that she works in an art gallery. So you wanted to have that aspect be part of her way that she presented herself to the world.
Yeah. It was definitely a piece that I felt was missing, and not a huge piece, but that's just where we had differing ideas.
So can you talk a little bit also about School Hard? Because that was the first episode that I came to play and that James came to play. What was your thoughts on that episode and coming to the high school and having everything that went down? Because Joyce goes through quite a journey in that episode too and gets pretty warrior herself.
Yeah. No, that was, oh man, do you remember that shoot? It went on forever. I don't think we finished until like 7:30 in the morning. But yeah, I loved that Joyce finding her inner warrior. She'd have been great that night that the wind blew the door open.
Yes. She should have been at your house, right?
Yes, she should have been at our house. Yeah, that was fantastic. And I loved being a part of the Fuller cast as well. And just the action and picking up the axe was really heavy. That was a real surprise how heavy it was, and trying to make it look like it wasn't heavy.
Right.
That I was the warrior. Pick up this axe.
And what was it like for you working with Armin as Principal Snyder?
Oh, he was so much fun. He's so funny. He's so unbelievably dry and funny. And he was so funny in that character as well. I think we're both going to be in Paris in February of 2027, and I'm so looking forward to seeing him.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I just remember all the scenes in his office. He was so impossible.
I know. He seemed to really dislike children. Like he should not be a principal. And so, contrary to Joyce, it was always funny looking at your expression, sort of taking him in and taking stock of him when you were listening to his rants about Buffy. It was great.
Yeah.
Can you discuss how sometimes reshoots would take place?
I really liked most of the reshoots that I did. I was always happy to have a second crack at it. Often they were things that I wasn't that happy about. So I was really grateful to get to do it a second time. Once we went to 8 days and they brought in a second crew, there were a couple of scenes that got redone that I thought were really great. I think there was one scene where Allison and I cried through the whole scene. And it was like, we're going to shoot this again and nobody's going to cry. And I actually think it was better the second time, but you don't ever quite get enough rehearsal through the whole process. So having more rehearsals is even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it.
It's that thing where sometimes with looping, you can adjust things and make a performance a little bit better. And reshooting, you get that second chance to delve back into it and to use the first time as the rehearsal that you didn't get. One of the things I loved working with James is that we both come from a theater background. And so we would get together the minute we got the scripts, especially season 2, where we had them in enough time in advance, and we would rehearse. And so we came in really ready to just play and explore. And it made such a big difference, which you don't get on television. But we felt like the nature of the characters, because of the supernatural elements, that we wanted to ground them, and we wanted the relationship to be believable, that we could have been together for over a century and have that familiarity and not have any tentativeness. And so that rehearsal really helped.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is so great that you guys did that.
Yeah. We'd come in with blocking ideas, and invariably they would be used because we just come up with stuff. And then if it evolved and that wasn't used, then often things that we came up with would be used in the next episode or written into the next episode. So it was really great that we got to work those things out on our own time, so that you don't have that experience, which often happens either with independent films or with television, where you're moving on and you're thinking, I've just figured out how I want to play the scene.
Yeah.
And I never really felt that way on Buffy because we did so much rehearsal on our own time.
That's amazing. And you're now hearing it. I'm not surprised, because your guys' relationship was so rich. And even if you didn't know what was happening between you, you knew that you guys were just enmeshed.
Thank you.
I mean, there was just so much depth and complexity there.
Thank you.
My compliments for you guys for taking advantage of that.
What was it like for you to shoot Becoming Part 2, where Buffy comes out to you about being the Slayer? How much did Joyce feel like their whole past clicked into place?
I remember feeling that this was something so big that it was so much bigger than I was as her mother. And it was scary. I was afraid for her. I was proud of her, but it was somewhere that I couldn't go with her. It was her own destiny.
Yeah, and must be so hard as a mother to know that every time, at least every night with the vampires, but that she's battling these monsters and these demons and could maybe not come home. It's like being married to a police officer, but when it's your child, dealing with that all the time, the weight of that.
Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of it, is you worry about that if your kid's just out driving a car.
Right.
It's
the metaphor. It's the reason the show speaks to everyone, is because it uses the supernatural to speak to what we all experience.
Yes, exactly. I remember when my daughter was born and I would be a little worried about something. I was a pretty calm mother. I didn't hover over my own daughter or anything. But I remember at one point just thinking, oh, wow, when she's 18, I won't worry about her anymore. She'll be grown up. And then I don't know, sometime after that, I went, oh my gosh,
That's not going to happen. That day is never going to come.
I'm going to be worried about her. And I'm not a worrisome mother.
Right.
I very much feel so confident that she is totally able to take care of herself in the world. but it's just interesting. Is a part of you that always wants to make things right if you can, if it's in your power, or the times that you should not rush in.
Right.
No, that's not what you're there for. So Buffy turning out to be a vampire slayer was something Joyce hadn't really bargained for. And I thought she adapted to it quite well.
Yes.
But she embraced it. And I think it empowered her too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it empowered Joyce.
How different was it for you playing the character who is kept in the dark and then learns about it and is now part of the whole concept of the show, which obviously as an actress you knew from day one, but had to behave as if you didn't know? How different was it for you to navigate that and portray that?
It was the natural evolution. And I kind of feel my way as an actress. I'm not real cerebral about
Which
it.
is great. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not one of those people who goes, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. She wouldn't do that there. I just kind of feel my way a lot through the dialogue. Aside from the shoes or a costume, the main thing is in the
script.
dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will guide you to the right place.
As far as the body, how long before you got the script did you know what was going to happen?
A couple of years.
Really?
Yeah, because I wanted to go to Italy, and that was an amazing opportunity for my family, but I loved the show. So it was a really, really tough decision for me. I made an appointment and I went in and I told Joss what I wanted to do. And he was just like, but you are coming back, right? And I went, yeah, I'm just going for a year. And he goes, oh, good, because I'm going to kill you.
Oh,
And yeah.
okay.
And I was like, oh, okay, okay. It was kind of a shock.
Yes.
Then I completely understood that as a coming of age.
Right.
You don't really come of age until you lose a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I had lost my father and my mother was pretty much lost. So I was like, oh, of course, that makes sense. So I went off to Italy and then I didn't know when it was going to happen. So that was the real question.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know when I got sick and went into the hospital. I thought that was it.
Right.
I came back. I should have known when I was so happy in that Chinese dress. I think that was Joyce so happy because she'd met somebody and she had a date and life was
right.
looking so great. That should have been the clue, but I didn't find out until I got the script that it was happening.
Oh, wow. How emotional was it for you?
It was such an experience for me on so many different levels. I always think that one grief kicks off the next grief. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And every grief opens up all the past griefs.
Yes.
And so for me, it was like the grief of losing my father. And I felt very much in Buffy's shoes and could experience it from her perspective. And because I was dead through the entire episode,
Right.
I wasn't having any reactions.
Right.
I was like the person observing my dead body, but going on the emotional journey without any other responsibilities other than to experience the episode. So I couldn't stop crying when when she comes in the door. And I kept saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. But I'm supposed to be laying there with these contact lenses on and my eyes open and tears like just streaming down my face. So, filled with grief at her discovery. And then the emergency crew coming in and putting me on the stretcher and carrying me into the back of the ambulance was terrifying. Because I was like, this could and probably will happen to me someday. And this is actually terrifying.
Yes.
And then doing a CPR.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was very profound. And then the deader I got as a body, the bluer I became until when it launched into the vampire battle around me. And I remember that my going away birthday cake, I was completely spray painted blue and had a red robe on. Like, what guy decided to give this to me today?
Wait, no, not blue and dead and not now. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then watching the episode, just the way that everybody reacted to it. Willow not knowing what to wear and Anya's speech just, is so much in line with what I talked about earlier. Like, where did he go? He's just here. I don't understand this. And her speech just so captured.
Expresses that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that thing that none of us can fathom. Some people are religious, so they go to that, but how people we love are here and then are not here. No matter how many times you go through it, it's still something that's so hard for us to wrap our minds around and come to terms with and understand in any way.
And it's so surreal. Like when you're in that, the whole world looks different than your everyday world when you lose somebody. You know what I mean? You enter into this almost supernatural place where everything is turned upside down. Normal life doesn't seem appropriate. So I always say to people who didn't watch the show or don't know anything about the show, I always go, listen, you should watch this episode. It's truly one of the best episodes on television. And I'm dead, so you're not watching it for me. I'm having you watch it because it's this amazing episode, not to watch me perform because I'm not performing in it. But I'm so grateful to have been a part of something that I feel really spoke to the world about death and how to handle it
so powerfully. I can only imagine how upsetting and profound the experience when you're describing it. I played a character that was dying on an episode of La Femme Nikita, and I found it so emotional to play the character. And that was a character that I hadn't lived with the extent of time that you had lived with Joyce. And it was so painful to go through that experience. It was so hugely emotional with Joyce, who at that juncture is really such an alter ego component of you and such a huge part of your life and your own journey. To have that must have brought up just so much emotion. And so I can understand that it would be hard to not have the tears rolling when you're trying not to, and especially seeing everybody's response to the passing and then it bringing up all the loss that you were talking about, how that happens in life, that one loss brings up everything else. It just sounds like it was a pretty overwhelming and life-growing experience to go through.
Yeah. When it was all over, it was very sad to not go back to the set. That chapter was closed, but the show was going on.
Yeah.
It was sad to get off the, what do you call that thing that's in parks that goes around?
Oh, merry-go-round?
Yeah, it is a merry-go-round. It was sad to get off when everybody was still playing. That's the way of an actor. We get to have these chapters.
Well, and also, unlike other characters on the show who could die and come back because it's supernatural, one of the things that's so potent about it is that Joyce, as Buffy's mom, the thing that we all deal with in life is that finite thing, is that you're not coming back in this incarnation. And so it's important for that to be so.
Exactly.
To be continued. As featured on YouTube's Captain and Cat Captain's Corner, your child or student's heart will grow with the stories in Bajette's Balloon, a sweet adventure about kindness and the gift of giving. Perfect for ages 3 to 8, it gently introduces empathy, diversity, and real-life themes like aging, disability, allergies, and caring for our environment. Kids love spotting the color-changing balloon and joining the search for Bajette's lost cat. Comes with the magic of Smile stickers, free downloadable kindness crafts and activities that will always be free in Bajette's Kindness Creative Lab. These make learning kindness fun, doable, and easy to fit into everyday play just like any other favorite activity. Features hand-drawn illustrations created without AI. Every page is filled with warmth and originality. Join the kindness mission and see how far a single act of kindness can travel. Visit Bajette.com, and that's BAJETTE.com, to access the book, kindness shirts, gallery, reviews, and always free activities in the Kindness Creative Lab. If you have a kindness idea or story, write to giving@Bajette.com to win a premium edition of Bajette's Balloon. You can really tell that this book was made with a lot of love. Get Bajette's Balloon.
Let's get ready to Buffy!
Vengeance Val was the victor in our first inaugural Battle of the Uber Buffy fans. If you would like to challenge her title and be considered as a contender for this season's battle, please email revampedpod@gmail.com. Yes, be sure to include your name, where you weigh in with your number of watch-throughs, where you're located, something interesting about you, or something you think would be good to share.
And your social media handles.
Yes, woohoo! Woohoo! Boop boop be drove. Revamptees, please correspond with me on our Patreon page, Revamped with Juliet Landau, on Twitter, @Juliet Landau, on Instagram, @Juliet_Landau, and on the Fans of Juliet Landau Facebook group, or Juliet Landau official Facebook page. Patreon peeps to be read in the credits: Dave Hall, Vonnie June Kendall, Daniel Harbour, Louise Brennan, Brandon Key, Cameron Burton, Donnie Ruskin, Madeline Pruitt, Marion Stevenson, Antonio H. Gutierrez, and Bobby Pelham. It makes all the difference because we cannot keep making the show without you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Until we meet again.
See you next time when we do it again. Do it again. Until then, rewatch, revamp, reinvent, and be remarkable you.